Alright, we're gonna try this again. I recorded this video once. My mic is very crackly. I think it's because I had a fan blowing on it. I didn't think about it with its positioning. And also, my cell phone was right under my mic, and that might have caused it. Could be other things going on here. Birds were actually well behaved the first recording, so I don't think that's gonna last again. Besides, you can see the obnoxious lighting on the side here. I have my hobby lights out. I'm waiting for my bases to dry. My last couple models I gotta finish up here, their bases. They are not drying very quickly because I do a lot of contrast paint on my texture, and it takes a hot minute to dry. But we are getting there. I have the Hee Yaw GT coming up in, well, 2 days, I guess. It's Thursday now, almost Friday night. My list was submitted. We're gonna run through that really fast here. I did play at this event last year. I had an absolute blast. It was my first GT back into the hobby. I was only back into the hobby for about 6 months then after being out of the game for almost a decade at that point. So I was still in my school of hard knocks when it came to tournaments. I was on a 17 game losing streak. I lost every game at this event last year, but I did take best sportsmanship. I also won quite a few raffles. So honestly, I got my ticket price back and then some with everything I won, honestly. So I can't really complain. Getting a best sportsmanship here, and then the following week at my local game store, the first time I played there was honestly like a huge motivational boost, even though I had lost a tremendous amount of games in a row. I had a lot of fun, and that matters more than anything. You can't lose with grace and enjoy yourself. Like, going wrong, some games are going to be frustrating. That's just how it is. But you got to be okay with losing too. You can't always win as much as we want to. That's not always fun if like everyone knows like, oh, this guy just always wins. He plays to win all the time. Miserable. I don't want to play him. You know, Uh, Even people that only play against Tyranids on my list enjoy playing against me, I guess. So, um, anyways, this, of course, 2,000 points. I am running Crusher Stampede and Talons of the Thorn Queen. Because it's the Stampede. We are running Take and Hold because I'm not a big fan of Purge. Purge, with most of the matchups having such objectives, not necessarily being the best at completely wiping out units sometimes, and Jinx screaming in the background. I felt like Taking Hold was better, even though I was kind of resistant to Taking Hold at first. I really like playing Disruption. I haven't played Priority Assets or Recon yet. We don't have as much access to that with Tyranids. We have a lot of Taking Hold access. Plus with like Snap Nexus, Vanguard Onslaught, those attachments, I played them a little bit in this new edition, but for my first GT, I want to play something I was more familiar with, but I didn't want to go back to Sub Assault or Invasion Fleet. I really like Crusher Stand. I like big monsters, and I'm pretty well known for it at this point here. I do like our medium-sized stuff. I love Raveners. I have 25 of them. I just need to get more practice with playing our more like frail glass cannon units. So, but let's run through the list here. Crush Stampede and Talon Norn Queen have some really great detachments, or great stratagems. They are great detachments, but they have great stratagems that really work with your monsters. I don't really need to use the Swarm God salvos and a couple of the other ones, but like the run through walls one is really nice. The scream one where you cause a battle shock in the fight phase, and the enemy goes at -1 to hit. If they fail it, they're -1 to wound you. Pretty great. And then forcing like reroll to hit is really nice on your monsters as well. And we have our own version of crushing impacts. We have massive impacts, which is more like a grenade on the charge where it's safe. You just roll 6 dice. On forging immortal wounds, you can't hurt yourself with it, so it's pretty good. We got some pretty great options, honestly. Oh, and forcing yourself to deadly demise. It with especially with a couple Norns and the Tyranno effects, doing the D6 mortals, as long as your guys aren't positioned too close to each other, it's pretty juicy sometimes, especially if you get a couple enemy units into it. But let's run through this real quick. I am running the Swarm Lord with 6 Tyrant Guard. I have run Tyrant Guard since 6th edition. I've won more practice game in this list. But I was kind of going through and I'm like, you know what, 80 points for 3 Tyrant Guard for 12 toughness, 8 wounds is pretty good. They're 4 wounds apiece. They have a 3+ save. I wish they had a 4 or a 3+ save. I wish they had a 2+ save. And I'm not sure what their best loadout is, so I'm doing 3 or half with Crusher Claws, half with the Bone Cleaver Lash Whip combo. Everything does a minimum 2 damage. Crushing Claws are like end up being like straight 9. They have 4s, it's only 2 attacks with the Twin Link, so they hit, they're probably guaranteed the wound. The Bone Cleaver and Lash Whip, they're strength 5 by default, 6 with Synapse, because they're going to be in sense with the Storm Lord. This -1, but 2 damage, so pretty decent if they survive long enough. Plus, they pass off pain to the Swarm Lord while they're alive, which is only going to be beneficial if someone Precision Swarm Lord, or like in the phase that the Tyrant Guard get wiped out and the spillover damage into the Swarm Lord. I did like Swarm Lord over a regular Tyrant just for the extra command point all the time. I don't have the I can start accumulating them in the beginning and not worry about, not wasting that like reduced cost one with the regular Tyrant. Even like the Assault Lethal Ore is pretty good. Plus I have a Torrent weapon on Swarm Lord, even if it's not the best. Still not bad. And 8 attacks, that's rank 10 on 2s. Been linked, pretty good, pretty good. This attachment as well when you run Crusher Stampede. Your monsters, when they're full health or full unit strength, get +2 OC. That applies to monster units. This is a monster unit. So as long as it's, I have all my Tyrant Guard, everything in this unit gets +2 OC. Really great. Once we lose a Tyrant Guard, everything loses that 2 OC. So we lose a lot of OC all of a sudden. But the Swarm Lord gets +1 to hit, which is not beneficial most of the time. If anyone gets him a -1 to hit, he negates it basically at that point. And then once we're down to just 2 Tyrant Guard, because you're below half strength for the unit, Swarm Lord gets +1 to wound. Which is pretty nice on a strength 10 character. 8 attacks Twin Linked. He's gonna start hitting above his weight class a little bit. And his second attack gets a little nastier when you're +1 to wound as well, so yeah, we'll see. Plus he's got the Vexor within 12 inches, so I can increase the cost of one of my opponent's stratagems, and he's going for the center as well, so we have that nice little aura of that, a little bit longer synapse range for Shadows of the Warp phase. It's pretty cool, it's pretty cool. I don't have a Neurotire in this to really make the Shadows a little bit better, so it's not going to be like big points of this army, but if it works, and then they got a test out of it, which is kind of nice. So this is going to be like my second wave into the center. And this is a hard unit to remove with all these wounds. I'm pretty good. You have to dedicate a lot of focus power to, or a lot of focus fire to this, so. Especially if I can like hide the Swarm Lord, keep them in cover, and I know they're going to slow him down a bit. But like I said, they're like my second wave, so. Once you're through the first wave, and these guys come in afterwards, it's kind of gross, honestly, here. Plus potential lot OC. Even if we don't get the +2 OC to everything. This by default is already 9 OC. Not the craziest, I guess. When everything's alive in the unit, it's what? An extra 14 OC? 23 OC for this unit? It's silly. Maybe a controversial pick, according to some tier players, but Red Terror in my list. Yeah, Red Terror not in Sub Assault. Weird. But he's 5 OC when he's full health. He definitely benefits from the attachment abilities. If he's below half and still alive, he's going to get +1 to wound. So it's more reliable to get escaping him off. Hits on 2s. You're at the +1 to hit, so things are debuffing you. You're probably going to negate it. And then it's a little easier for you to get that dev wounds off with your gaming mod and heal yourself when you have +1 to wound as well. Plus, he got a bunch of attacks. He's very mobile. We have a secondaries, help clear hordes, help clear infantry. Get my units unstuck from like the big blobs if they're stuck in. They'll have a lot of attacks to dish out of them. So some really good options with him. He's fast, versatile, runs through walls on his own already. I guess for this to come open, they're like, oh, he's mobile. Well, his rules already like you can run through terrain without hindrance, so they just like clarified it. So great unit for 130 points on my playstyle so far, as long as I don't forget about him. Rapid ingressing is going to cost me a command point every turn. We're generating extra with the Tyrant, so it'll be pretty good. For battle line, I'm just running 10 Hormigons. They're chilling, they're spreading out max distance within 9 inches, apart for like the furthest part in the unit. Just to help screen up my backfield. This can move on to my expansion objective if I need to, or another objective, or go for secondaries, or just help deal with chaff units that might end up in the backfield. But they're really there just to kind of move on to an objective if I need them to in the help screen. That's all they're there for. Speaking of, Lava's gonna do something similar. He's gonna sit on home, of course. Put some Spore Mines down to help it screen out with the Hormigons and himself. And then play Spore Mines where I need to for secondaries. And like him and the Red Terror together can get me, what is it, outflank. I believe it's the one where you have to be on 2 different table sides in the enemy territory, or outside your own territory, whatever it is. And behind enemy lines as well, and table quarters. So I have a lot of options for that kind of stuff. Hormigons can also help with the action secondaries if I say those towards the end. Especially when I'm not worried about deep trackers coming anymore, or the Biowar's got my back zone screened out enough. Then we can kind of worry about that then and get the Hormigons where I need them to do actions for later in the game for secondaries. I was on the fence with these guys, as between these and taking more Tyran effects, as long as I got one Tyran effects in this list so far. We're going with the double Maliceptor for the -1 aura. Within 6 inches, I can stack with cover as well, because cover's -1 the ballistic skill. But if you have maybe that aura and things are in cover when you're shooting into them, essentially -2 to your shooting, which is kind of nice. And if the unit's below half strength, -1 to wound as well, which is really big with monsters. We also have a stratagem in this attachment where you cause a battle shock, and then you cause -1 to hit in melee, and the unit fails that battle shock, they're at -1 to wound as well. That's pretty awesome. I need to check the wording on that, because what if they're already battle shocked and you do that to them? Do they automatically go to -1 to wound with that stratagem? There's also the one that give you the rerolls the hits as well, too. But Mouse Hunters being strength 10 with their psychic attacks, pretty sweet, without getting all the negative modifiers of them. Plus they can ignore any or all modifiers. So once they're wounded, they get +1 to hit. They're hitting with their psychic attacks on 2s and ignoring negative modifiers to it, because you can keep the positive ones. If they're below half strength, they're wounding. They get +1 to wound as well with their strength 10 shooting, which is pretty nasty. It lets them push into toughness 11 and higher a little bit better. Anything that's like toughness 9 and lower, they're wounding it on 2s. It's pretty great, honestly. A little speed bump. Their full health. Their 6 OC. A little annoying, you know. Plus, someone's got some big infantry units, and hopefully I can benefit from the blast or the full Terminator unit. I'm wounding them on 2s. It's pretty good, you know, and you get your full like, 2 AP in every case now. I think a lot of Tyranny players are using them over Exocrines, which I did try on a version of this list, and I still think Exocrines have merit. It just, you gotta be a little bit pickier where they're getting their shots in. But, kind of the bread and butter of this list, I guess, here. It's triple Norn, 1 Assimilator with the 4-up invuln save. Double Emissary, 1 with the Destabilizing Predation, which is the 2+ anti-character. For its shooting attacks only. And then a Tyran effects with Acid Sprayer. Or Acid Spray, I should say. The 3 Norns, it's going to be hard to push. The Norn Emissary without the upgrade, I do have differences in how they're modeled, so it'll be easy to tell the two apart. One's holding Lieutenant Titus in his hands. That'll be my anti-character 2-up shooting one. The one without the upgrade is going to take my expansion. He's going to sit there until it's safe for the Hormigons to hold it by themselves. And he's going to move out, either go towards the enemy home or go towards my center where whoever needs the support. Or if, yeah, because usually the enemy expansion is going to be like the opposite side of the table for him. He's probably not going to go for that. But depending on the map's setup, he could go for the enemy home, which could be great. Or, like I said, go help the center out. But my center is going to already have the Norn Assimilator and the Norn Emissary, the Swarm Lord, the 6 Tyrant Guard, 2 Maliceptors not too far back, and a Tyran effect with the Acid Sprayer supporting it. That center is hard to push. I'm probably scoring it. If you take me out of that center with all that, you deserve it, honestly. Excuse me. Like, you absolutely deserve it. And if you can't, you're going to spend so much resources doing it. I can hopefully do enough damage to you in the meantime. That's not going to matter. The Northern Simulator is going to give me some really high strength attacks. You know, he's got a strength 12 harpoons that he shoots. They're not psychic. So they're on 2s, probably on 3s, the things that cover. He gets +1 to hit if he's wounded in this attachment. You know, pretty great. He's got strength 10 and strength 13 attacks. If I use, whatever the prey ability thing is, gosh, what's it called? I knew it earlier when I first recorded this video, and I already forgot it. He gets +2 strength then, so you get him with a strength 12 and strength 15. That's really gross. Or getting the rerolls if I need to. And then, or if it's something that's like toughness 5, that I'm charging the assimilator and the emissary into, I can put the +2 strength in the emissary, make sure all of his attacks wound on 2s. His attacks are already wounding on 2s on something that's strength 5 or less, or toughness 5 or less, and just really wail into it. And that's higher toughness, kind of pick and choose when I need to. I get matched up against them with like knights or greater demons. We have the anti-character 2-up Maltas potentially for their psychic from the Norn emissary. Or if they do have like a character in a unit that is giving a really great buff out that is tied to the leader, snipe that leader out. Get rid of him. They no longer get those benefits. It's just something that on the fly could be good. I had 20 extra points in this list, so I kind of wanted both of them to have it, but then I had the Fanangle stuff in a weird way, and I just didn't want to do that. But I think this will be fine. Plus the emissaries, like I said, this emissary mid game, if things are going well, the Hormagaunts can hold my expansion without an issue. He can move off towards the enemy home, threaten it, prevent some scoring, maybe go score some other points in other ways. The assimilator, if I need to, he can change his imperative to like the reroll hit and wound against something that's really nasty and big that I need to get rid of, just to make sure I can get rid of it. Or him and my emissary, they're taking the center if the game's going really well, and they're surviving, and they're doing a lot of damage, and I'm just dishing it out, and my opponent really can't stop them. And my tyrant's out there with this tyrant guard, I have a lot of them, and my Maleceptors or my Tyrannofax are doing pretty good. I can change the objective that these guys are on to either my opponent's expansion or his home, and just really push into it. Or if things are going bad, and this emissary got bullied by a bunch of stuff defected in my expansion because my opponent's like, oh, I can get rid of 2 Norns in a Hive Tyrant, but I can get rid of 1 Norn. Back here, I can have one of these guys divert and help him out if I have to make sure I'm scoring my primaries as much as possible. Ideally, I can max out primaries pretty easily with this. We will see in practice how this goes, but Take and Hold only has 1 6 objective map layout. I think in that one, the objectives are pretty close together. So the emissaries might be able to touch both, and I can just switch like which one the imperative to like that objective or like one objective with the other, and if they're both touching, it's like 20 OC from 2 Norns potentially. Unless we'll have to look at the map setups for Take and Hold again before I go to the GT. And it was a big conundrum for the Tran effects. I love Tran effects. It's one of our few toughest 12 options. I have 4 big monsters that D6 deadly demise in this attachment, which is great. But the Acid Sprayer is kind of what I lean towards. Strength 6, still wounds, toughest 11, toughest 10 on 5s, D6 plus 6 automatic hits. He gets below half strength, gets +1 to wound. It's pretty good. The plan is to probably Overwatch with him every turn I can. Basically, he's going to shoot twice a turn, or twice a battle round, I mean. And it's really to get rid of like those units that really buff, like the Librarian's Conclave, Librarian with like the Stern Guard unit, or some of the other nasty shooting against Marines can do. That can do like just crazy damage on their own, especially with the Oath the Moment turn to like one of your big bugs. He's gonna get freaking overwatched by Acid Spray. That Strength 6 -2 damage is pretty good in the Marines, honestly. It just wipes them. So try to limit what they can do to me. Do it twice a turn. I get stuck in combat. He's still torrenting whatever he's in combat with. His Stinger salvos or whatever. He's okay in melee. But the idea is to overall play this list pretty aggressive at first. I'm gonna aggressively hold the center, I guess is the best way to put it. And then kind of like on the fly decide like, hey, I can safely push here now too and limit my opponent's ability to score. Or, oh no, I need to like buckle down and protect and overlap my firepower so that way they can't push me off scoring. But yeah, and some will depend on the matchup, like what my opponent's disposition is, what the map layout's like, what my opponent's running. But I was on the fence, like I contemplated dropping one of the Maleceptors and running 2 Tyrannofaxes and one with the Rupture Cannon. I contemplated dropping both Maleceptors and running 2 Rupture Cannons and Acid Sprayer, having a lot of big bugs. 3 Norns, 3 Tyrannofaxes is kind of fantastic. Tyrannofaxes, like I think I mentioned earlier, have the frame keyword now, which is a little unfortunate and also fortunate because you just tow the gun in now to the train and see, and you get OC on it, and that's kind of gross. Granted, the Acid Spray is not as big as the Rupture Cannon, but still, it sticks out a bit from the base. It's going to kind of play that to your advantage. It's easy to game cover. The things are at -1 Ballista skill, so that's kind of nice, But yeah, I like this list a lot. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. My playtest with it was pretty great. It was the first game of this edition I've actually won, but I don't take pickup games and like practice games like too seriously when we were for GT. It's when I get to the tournament day, I play a bit differently. I'm gonna play a little bit more serious, a little bit more thought out. I have more time to think with this army. Day one of the event is 3.5 hour rounds. I just need to take my time, really think out what I'm doing, and then kind of go from there. I am making it a little command point intensive with wanting to overwatch basically every opponent's turn and wanting to rapid ingress a lot with the red terror. That's like 2 command points a turn. So basically the 2 I generate on my turn are like gone. But I'm not gonna rapid ingress turn 1. I'm probably not gonna get the Overwatch in turn 1. If I do, the opponent's being really aggressive and he deserves it. So it's more likely a lot of that stuff's not gonna start till turn 2. So I have turn 1 to kind of bank 3 command points. So I have those command points for like on the fly abilities. And maybe I don't need the Overwatch every turn with the spare. Maybe my red terror is in a good position where I can keep him on the table because he's going to be fairly safe, and then just kind of use his fast movement and his ability to run through terrain to get him where he needs to be. That's like safe or like in the following turn, so he can get a good charge in. We're just gonna see. Like I said, a lot depends on the matchups, how tall some of the walls in the terrain are. They have pretty good terrain though, so I think it'll be pretty great. I don't want to see knights still because I didn't take rupture cannons. I don't have raveners or zone thropes, so like knights are kind of a problem for me with this attachment. If I survive with like half health on my units, I'm probably gonna retaliate pretty decently here. Um, and hopefully just max my primaries easily, and then worry about secondaries and preventing my opponent from scoring. That's the big goal. Tau might be an issue because of their mobility, but I can out damage them. Um, them ignoring cover and all that jazz is kind of annoying. Space Marines with their oath at the moment, just Marines with oath at the moment. I want that army ability to go away. It's so bad when you're fighting a bunch of monsters. I'm not too worried about Necron, honestly, right now. I know they're so good, but I feel like I'm okay with it in this attachment. I don't know why. I know Satan can hit pretty hard. Sun King hits decently hard, but I feel like I I can really play them I take and hold and make it really hard for them to take the center. Honestly, and eventually just shot enough damage here. What else? I have played against the Votan. Votan can be nasty. I feel like a lot of armies just have like that one really big beefy unit that you gotta worry about. And once that unit appears, I should have, a chance to destroy it afterwards. That's what we're going for here. Really focus fire down the big nasty thing for that's shooting into my army and then trying to melee into my army. And then once I get rid of that threat, it should go fairly well. As long as I make like average amounts of like invuln saves and not like none like I normally do in tournaments, we should do pretty good, honestly. I will post an update as to how the GT went. A lot of us in my local area are going up for our Waco Wizards team. A lot more from this area are going up than previous, which is awesome. So I'm hoping the whole team does good. We did pretty good at the Dallas Open. I'm just kind of hoping we continue that as well here for this event. Like I said, it is the early day of the edition. It's still like the Wild West days. We haven't had our first balance pass yet. That's probably next week, from what everything that they said. I think in the summer preview they said the 22nd maybe. Is that right? That makes sense. Yeah, I think so. So that'll be the first balance pass will be sometime next week. I hope it was gonna be for this event. They kind of change things around. But oh yeah, orcs are another one. I don't know. I'm hit or miss if I want to run into orcs or not. They throw a lot of attacks. Really bad for me. I can also throw a lot of attacks back, I guess, at this point. And with kind of, but yes and no, I guess. Anyways, thanks for listening. Thanks for hearing me out. Hope your games are going well for the new edition. Hope you're enjoying it. I've had a blast with it so far. And more importantly, go drink some coffee. Have a good one. I'll see you soon.